So I didn't know that Islam Makhachev actually spoke about Paddy Pimblett in an interview at UFC Fight Night when he was supporting his teammate Umar Nurmagomedov.
When he deserves, why not? If he won the next couple matches. Because I don't have some excited fight in my division.
Islam Makhachev said he'd be open to fight Paddy Pimblett if he wins his next few matches and really cements his position in the top 10 of the UFC's lightweight division. Honestly, I would be so super excited to see a future Islam Makhachev versus Paddy Pimblett fight. I honestly see that it could be the next KHABIB versus Conor fight. As we know, UFC 229 KHABIB versus Conor McGregor got 2.4 million pay-per-view buys, and no other UFC fight since has broken that pay-per-view record. But I think that a future Islam Makhachev versus Paddy Pimblett fight could be a future contender to beat that pay-per-view record. As we know, Islam Makhachev, the UFC's lightweight champion and #1 pound-for-pound king, is always on the lookout for a new contender and a new challenge, and perhaps Paddy Pimblett could offer him that. I know in the past a lot of people have been doubting Paddy Pimblett's wrestling skills, but honestly, in his last fight against King Green at UFC 304 in Manchester, I think Paddy Pimblett really showed that he has got good wrestling and ground skills. He won this fight with this incredible armbar submission. So in one of his recent vlogs, Paddy Pimblett did respond to Islam Makhachev's comments, and he seems like he is so excited for a future fight against Islam. I think he is so happy that Islam Makhachev did call him an exciting fighter, which he definitely is. Like I said, I do see Paddy Pimblett becoming a huge UFC superstar. He does have the personality, he's got a cool accent, he's got the fans, so I definitely think he could be a figure like Conor McGregor in the future. Of course, if he keeps on winning and improving his skill set, he will definitely be a future exciting opponent for the fans to see fight Islam Makhachev. So when Paddy Pimblett will be returning to the octagon is of course another question we don't know the answers to. As we know, Paddy Pimblett does put on a lot of weight. Literally as soon as his fight is over, he will be going out munching on burgers and all sorts. So I think he's gained about 42 pounds since his fight at UFC 304. His weigh-in weight was 156 pounds and I think he's around 198 now. What can you say? Paddy Pimblett is a huge fan of food, and I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with enjoying your food as long as you can do it in moderation. But as we know, Paddy Pimblett will lose all the weight. As soon as he's got a date set, he'll have again another amazing weight transformation. So what has Islam Makhachev been up to since his fight? So I saw this tweet the other day about Islam Makhachev being wholesome, and I really wanted to talk about it because I think it's so true. Despite him being a really fierce, dangerous, incredible MMA fighter, he definitely has this really wholesome side to him, and he's been out supporting his teammates, including Umar Nurmagomedov, who fought in Abu Dhabi against Corey Sandhagen. And just looking at his Instagram, he's been out fishing and he's been out in the mountains in Dagestan enjoying himself. But like I said, I really hope we get to see him return to the octagon as soon as possible. So UFC 305 was this past weekend in Perth, Australia, and honestly I really thought that Israel Adesanya was gonna win this fight. I was actually quite surprised with how the fight ended up turning out. So in the first 3 rounds, I really thought that Israel Adesanya looked really good. He was landing some really good strikes and I thought that he would probably get the win. I also thought his takedown defense was really good. Like in the octagon, Israel Adesanya looked so long and tall compared to Dricus Du Plessis, and I think he was doing a really good job of defending against the takedowns. So I was really surprised to see that in the 4th round he did end up getting submitted. As we know, Israel Adesanya does not get submitted or has hardly ever been submitted. So I was really surprised about how this fight ended up turning out. Israel Adesanya, like I said, did land some really good strikes on Dricus Du Plessis, and he did have a few scratches and injuries on his face at the end of the fight, whereas Israel Adesanya ended this fight looking pretty much the same way he did when the fight started. But it was really nice to see that the pair did show good sportsmanship to one another once the fight ended. Both Du Plessis and Adesanya did have a really intense rivalry, and please can we talk about how cute are Israel Adesanya's parents. They just seem like the nicest people ever, and it was really sweet to see that Dricus Du Plessis did tell them that their son is a warrior. And I think it would be so cool to see a future rematch take place between the pair in Africa. So who is the next opponent for the UFC's middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis? So it seems that UFC president Dana White did confirm that it will be Sean Strickland, and when Sean Strickland was champion, I feel like so many MMA fans were so behind him, but now it seems like people have turned their opinion and really don't see that Sean Strickland deserves another shot at the title. It seems like people are more in favour of seeing the winner of Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker take on Dricus Du Plessis next. And honestly, this post from Alex Pereira made my day. I think this picture is hilarious and fans would be so excited to see Alex Pereira make a return to the middleweight division and take on Dricus Du Plessis next. So it's clear that the UFC do have some really good options in terms of who will be next for Dricus Du Plessis. So who would you prefer to see Dricus Du Plessis face next? Alex Pereira, the winner of Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker, or Sean Strickland? Speaking of future opponents for Dricus Du Plessis, it seems like former middleweight UFC star Darren Till is also interested. He did actually fight in 2022 and Darren Till did lose to Dricus Du Plessis via a submission, but of course so many people want to see Darren Till return to the octagon. He did direct the tweet at Dana White and Hunter. It's true that Darren Till had so much potential in the UFC and I think it would be so cool to see him return. Also, I forgot to say how happy I was to hear that Israel Adesanya say he will not be retiring in his post-fight Octagon interview. He is not going anywhere, and I know a lot of people online were speculating that if he loses the fight to Dricus Du Plessis, he will probably be retiring, but I am so glad that he is not. Also, I don't know whether I should be laughing at this, but Merab Dvalishvili pulling this fan's hair at the CJI event is just so funny to me, and I honestly can't stop watching the video. I can't get over how he jumped over the railings and then walked up to this fan, and it seemed like he was confused on what to do and then just decided to pull his hair. And the way that the fan is like, oh no, don't come anywhere near me, he seems really scared and apologetic, is just so funny. It honestly seems like it's not even real. I've lost count on how many times I've replayed that video. The hair pull is just so funny to me. Like, imagine if this fan was bald. Sean O'Malley said he wants to get this fan's information, so I'm thinking he probably wants to bring this fan back to taunt Merab again. Perhaps he will bring into the UFC 306 press conference. And we do have a Conor McGregor update from UFC President Dana White. So in a recent interview, Dana White did say that Conor McGregor won't be fighting this year. Conor McGregor did send out this tweet after Dana White's comments did go viral online. So honestly, what are the options for Conor McGregor? So as we know, Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway will be headlining UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi. And then speculation online seems like John Jones will probably return to UFC 309 in November. And that leaves the possibility for Conor McGregor to fight at UFC 310 in Las Vegas. So guys, what do you think is going on with Conor McGregor? When will Conor McGregor return to the UFC octagon? I know he said that his priority is being injury free, which I completely understand, but honestly, fans are getting more and more desperate to see Conor McGregor return to the UFC. When is it gonna happen?